name is Gideon Sukal, and this is my persuasion speech for my online speech class at Lebec Community College. May 1st, 1926, Henry Ford acted on a concept that at the time was unheard of. That concept, of course, being the 5-day work week. Back then, it wasn't uncommon for workers to be working every single day, except Sunday, and even then they were still working no less than 8 hours a day. To make up for the loss of hours, he doubled all of his employees' wages, and immediately there was a surge in worker productivity and spirit. Back then, they had a very different work and life balance than we do now. However, just like the technology of their time, I believe it is time that our work week evolves once more. Being granted a whole extra day to get tasks done at home, to relax, and to spend time with your loved ones is certainly much more appealing than being yelled at by your boss for yet another invalid reason, after all. As an employee that already maintains a 4-day work week, I have the experience to speak of how it helps from an employee's standpoint, and I also have the research to help back how it's going to help companies financially. 4-day work week would truly be beneficial for everyone, and almost every career could easily facilitate it as such. Taking that extra day off allows personal time for employees to actually recharge. Employers get to have better performance from their employees, and allows for more job openings to take strain off of essential workers. It's been shown by a recent experiment conducted by a multitude of companies in Britain that a 4-day work week would allow for more time for employees to decompress from their job and be prepared for the week, while also just generally making product and productivity go up higher. Once again, companies only care about money, so this is a big plus to them. By compressing the 5 8-hour days into 4 10-hour days, or even into from 5 8-hour days to 4 8-hour days with a slight wage increase, workers get the same amount done, then go home to their families, go out with friends, or engage in their hobbies while still having more time altogether, and it just certainly increases the quality of one's life. Now, I know we would be worried about getting employers on board, but 4-day work weeks are actually beneficial to most of the bosses in the world. Since a more compacted work week would ensure employees are more productive, companies only stand to gain from it. Looking at the statistics of this from Microsoft Japan, who opted for a 4-day, 8-hour approach with a wage increase, they cut their work week by 20% in the decrease of hours, and then as a result, they got a 40% increase in productivity. When you think of a company as big as Microsoft, that's quite a lot of profit. Companies think in simple terms. More money and less problems means life is good. The same amount of work gets done more efficiently when you're not having to fight with your employees and possibly replace them, which then costs you more overall due to training costs, and nobody wants that. Not only this, but more work will get done as you can hire more people to take care of those days that people are now off and keep your productivity going if you can't afford to only be active 4 days a week. This will create more job offerings that if the employer takes advantage of with proper wage and benefits, you can easily oust your competition and always have a competent workforce. It's like killing multiple birds with one stone. We all know how productive that is. Now, this is grand and all, sure. However, there are other benefits to this than just that we've discussed. Employees are working for not only salary, but also flexibility with their jobs. I'm sure all of you want your employer to work with you when it comes to your hours, instead of being a thorn in your side with a mandatory rigid schedule or even causing conflict with your peers. It also helps employers beat out competition for the more competent employees. As an example, a software engineer is more likely to take a job that only requires 4 days of work a week over 5 days a week, especially whenever the pay is about equivalent as well as work conditions. Less days spent working means less sick days, as employers will actively want to get their work done, so the 3 days can be spent resting and not stressing over the work they have not completed yet. Naturally, people are still going to get sick, and while this will help restrict how many days of sick days are actually having compared to people wanting to rest, it will still increase productivity by restricting those down. They have another day off, they don't need to be taking as many breaks. So as you can see, there are quite the benefits to a style work week. 4-day work week would help improve productivity, employee retention, and employee motivation. All of this leads to help show that changing our current norm would work for the better despite the minor This era is in desperate need of another Henry Ford-like change, and I personally think it's time for our employers to realize this and for us employees to embrace it.